Welcome to this edition of the Business Renovator. I want to start off with a buddy of mine, Brian Monahan's book, Customer Delight 365. You can buy this book on Amazon and get the Kindle version, or you order the book from him. So today I wanted to talk about great things come to those who prepare. So when opportunity comes, you have the means to take it. R.E. Shockley. Brian's take on that is, I'm pretty sure R.E. Shockley's quote sums up the power of customer delight. When you prepare to wow your customers with delight, the outcome is often new customers. Prepared delight is the best plan for business success. However, there's nothing wrong with unexpected delight. So let me invite my buddy Bernard on, who's hanging in the green room. Hello, Bernard. Welcome again. Good to see you.
Hello, Phil, and it's excellent to see you. And how are you this Friday? Well, it's afternoon here, morning there.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm good. It's nice and warm. There's no snow. You know how Facebook sends you memories back?
Yeah.
Things you've posted? 6 years ago, we had about 5 inches of snow 2 days ago, 6 years ago. Not this year. Beautiful, warm, late summer weather. Just beautiful.
Yeah, fantastic. Talking about customer delight, I've also heard it described as wow factors and having steps along your sales process where the aim is to introduce a wow factor every time, so that, again, you'll make sure that people go all the way through to becoming customers, and you'll also make sure that they recommend you to other people.
Yeah, really good point. Really good point. Really good point. So yeah, he's an American buddy of mine. He's part of a mastermind group, which we call Mega Minds, and he authored this book, and he shared with us the journey it took to get it done, and it was like one step at a time. He would invest a little bit of time every day on it, and the reason he wrote it is that's what makes him him. Whether it was his time as a Marine in the U.S. Marines, or if it was his role as the vice president of the company he's working with. It's all about customer delight, customer service, but not just service, because many people use that as lip service, right? It's a platitude or cliche. What we want to do is provide an authentic, realistic customer experience where people want to come back to you over and over and over again. Yeah,
it's got to be genuine, hasn't it? It's got to be it's got to be customer-centered for the sake of being customer-centered rather than as manipulative, really.
Yes. Yeah. I think people are sophisticated enough that they can see through all that stuff. So if we're not authentic, right? So I wanted to start our slide here while we're talking. We've got a theme today, and it's kind of along customer delight, but it's a little bit different. And there we go. It's W.I.N. I saw this concept, I don't know, 20 years ago, and it's really stuck with me. And W.I.N. can mean a whole bunch of things, but for today's conversation and in my own practice of coaching and being a consultant, for me, it stands for what's important now. So you've rose to a certain level, you're getting close to your goals. So what's important now? What do you do next? So we're going to talk about that today. What's important now? And Bernard put on here, it's your mindset. It absolutely starts with our thinking, doesn't it?
It does. And I heard it. One of the things I heard said that you should always do is you should you should be there and you should say, what is the most important thing I should be doing right now? And the most important thing you should be doing right now will be driven by your mindset. And, if you've got goals and you know where you want to be, you'll know what the most important thing you should be doing right now is. And if you haven't, you won't. So it all just follows through, doesn't it, really?
Exactly. And often we used a slide a couple of sessions ago, but I still think it's relevant for what we're talking about today. Because just as you said, looking at this as a constraint, that could be what's important next now. What do we need to do now to advance our next line, whether it's dropping weight, earning more money, more time with the family, or relationships with anybody, for that matter.
Yeah. And often it'll be going back to the whole idea of important and urgent with a deadline. Often it will be the things that don't get done that should get done that are really important now are the things that haven't got a deadline. They're the things we tend not to be doing that we should be doing. So a lot of this that we're talking about today probably falls under that heading, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe it does too. So you came up with this list from Jack Canfield's work. He's an amazing thought leader, been around for a long time, has had a major impact on my life and my journey, and those people that I work with as well get a taste of what he's done. So why don't you start with the first point there?
Okay, well, I got this out of one of his books, which is Affirmations, Success Affirmations, I think it's called. And what he was saying was that psychologists say that 90% of our behavior is habits. It's habits drinking. And I think there's a quote that says that we form our habits and then our habits form us. And a lot of these habits, they're unconscious behaviors. So when we're talking about what we should be doing right now, a lot of it, we're doing things sort of unconsciously because it's habitual. So once you've done something for 13 weeks, it's reckoned, it becomes habitual, it becomes a habit. So one of his pieces of advice, which I really think is an excellent piece of advice to adopt, is why not develop or adopt one new good habit per quarter? Because if you did that, then over the course of a year, that would be 4. Over the course of 5 years, that would be 20. So what he suggests we should do is we should actually stop and think about what habits we've currently got, do a habit audit, and list out all the bad habits we've got, the things that are actually stopping us achieving where we want to be, our goals, stopping us doing the things we know we should be doing. And then once we know all our bad habits, why not work on replacing one bad habit every quarter with a good habit? Now, obviously, you can do more than one, but I just think that would be a really good starting point, particularly this year when we've now got the last quarter of 2020 just around the corner. And maybe we could try and make up for lost time by having a really good, positive last quarter. And that would be a really good thing to do as part of that positive last quarter. So the idea then is do a habit audit, work out which habits we've got that we would rather not have that are bad habits, and then replace at least one of them with a good habit. What do you think of that, Phil?
Yeah, I think checking in with where you're at is really an important thing. I didn't include this in today's conversation on our slide deck, but something that I use, some people use a wheel of life, and there's all these spokes, and each spoke is an aspect of your life that you want to work on. And when I first came across what I'm going to share, I thought what I'm going to share wouldn't be making any sense. And what I found is after using this for the last 12 years, it's actually been very, 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 very impactful and effective. And that's a diamond map. And in the diamond map, we draw a cross. And where they intersect is 0, and the outlying lines is a 10. So from 0 to 10, where are you at? So there's 4 areas: health and fitness, relationships, both personal and professional, career, and then financial. So where are you in your finances? So it's something you can do to check in, just kind of like do an audit, but it's really simple. It's not an arduous process. 4 areas, where are you at? Make score yourself. Nobody has to see it, just you. And then create a diamond, join the dots, and see where you're at. Then think about, where would you like to be? If you had all of the resources, all the possibilities are there, you had the money, even though you don't, just imagine that you did, what would it look like? Where would you like to be? So maybe you're a 3 in one area and you want to be an 8. So it's 5 increments you need to go. Or maybe you're 6 and you want to go to an 8. That's only 2. So just look at the gap of where you're at today and where you want to get to in the 4 key areas. And one of the things that I always ask my clients to work on is to establish 3 to 5 goals in each one of those areas. And the reason for that is that we can make change happen quicker, sooner, and easier. And it creates the tension between where we're at today and where we want to be in the future. And by checking with your diamond map, you can decide where you're at in terms of moving towards your goals in all 4 areas or away from them. And it's a really simple, easy to check in with yourself. Because we have busy lives and lots of things to do. If we have a wheel with too many spokes, it becomes an arduous process. Or for my American friends, process. So that's the same kind of idea in the audit, but we do it differently. It's a diamond map, I call it.
Yeah. And I've seen that diamond map, and it's very simple. It's very visual, which is really good, because visual to me is good because it means you can actually see where you want to be, and it's easy. It's just an easy thing to do, and it's very powerful because it's visual. I think that's the best way to describe
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you could check in yourself and write on the back of a napkin at your favorite coffee shop, just to check in and see where you're at. It's so simple.
There's some good questions actually that tie in with that, which is where are you now? Where do you want to get to? What's stopping you? What have you tried doing to get there? Why hasn't it worked? And then one last question that we sometimes use is, would you like any help? But that's six really powerful.
That's a really good question. That's a powerful question no matter what business you're in. We're in the coaching consulting space, but that would work in any area.
Absolutely.
So which kind of ties into this next slide I've got up here. Success, think continually in terms of the rewards of success rather than the penalties of failure. Mm-hmm. So that ties into Earl Nightingale. Do you recall what Earl Nightingale was? One of the things he was famous for?
Yeah. What's it? The Incredible Secret or the Something Secret?
The Strangest Secret. Yeah. Do you remember?
Secret. Yeah. And he said that we become what we think about most of the time.
Yeah. And the more emotion we attach to that, which to me is the fuel to drive us to where we want to get to. It works both on our negative thoughts as it does on our positive thoughts.
Yeah. Actually, you've got Brian Tracy up there. One of the things that he says, which relates to this, is that studies prove that the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people think about the things they want most of the time, and unsuccessful people think about the things they don't want most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I know in my practice, and I'm pretty sure in your practice, that you're working with your clients to help them in this particular area. I put Brian up there just because it's a good graphic. Change your thinking, change your life. You don't have to buy the book. This is a book. You can buy the book on Amazon if you want. You don't have to. It's just up here to enforce it. If we change what we think about, then we change the results we get. Which is really what's important now. It's getting us to think about what would be the next step.
Yeah.
What's the next action you have to do? Which I think we're going to go ahead.
No, go on. Carry on. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's like I knew it was coming. Anyway, I like this graphic because it accentuates the ACT, ACT. Action changes things.
Yes.
So it ties into Brian's title and what we're talking about, what's important now.
And if anyone's ever done any NLP training, what they'll know from that is that our thinking determines our actions. However, we can change our thinking by changing our actions. So you can actually, it's a two-way process. So for example, if you're slumped in a chair, then you're probably not going to be thinking very positively. And if you get up and move around and get some fresh air, that then gives you a chance to start thinking more positively, which then drives more positive behaviors. So it's almost a circular thing. You can change your actions by the way you think, but you can also change your thoughts consciously by actually reinvigorating your actions, if you follow what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
They go hand in glove.
They do.
You reminded me of, I reached over here because I have a really large desk. But the reason I reached there is because of something that I've got taped on there, and I wanted to make sure that I shared it with everybody here. Is it in alignment with what we're talking about here? Writing equals thinking. Thinking equals images. Images create feelings, and feelings create actions, and the actions get us the results.
Yeah.
All the same thing, slightly different. Whatever resonates with you, the viewer, is really all that matters. Like one key common thread, though, well, there's two things: thoughts and actions. Thoughts and actions. You got to think and then act.
And one further point on that actually is there's lots and lots of evidence that if we look after our bodies and take exercise and get fresh air, that will actually improve how we feel. It will improve how we think, and the very act of improving how we think will then improve how we behave, which improves our, our outcomes. So it's very circular, and there's a lot to be said for a healthy mind in a healthy body, which is a famous quote, but has a lot of truth in it.
I think we need a graphic at one of these sessions on that particular thing, because that's a lot to hear and assimilate. So I'm going to challenge you to provide that in a written form so that we can create a slide of it sometime, and we'll share it with our audience.
Okay. You're on. Yes.
Brilliant.
There's a Latin quote, isn't there? Sano. I can't remember the quote, but Sano something. Healthy mind and a healthy body.
A good friend of mine, and a pretty good friend of yours, is Ben Pritchett. He was born and raised for part of his life. Well, he was born totally in Newfoundland, and grew up there for a good part of his life. And I believe he's actually seen these things that I'm going to share the screen on right now. As soon as I remember how to get back there, here we go. There. So, iceberg. So, being that he lives on the he used to live on the eastern side of Canada, in Newfoundland, which is a great big rock island. It's massive, and these things icebergs would float down all the time. And all you would see is just like this. Well, you wouldn't see the bottom part. This is under the water, but you see the top part. And the reason I brought this up is not for the same reason we brought it up a couple of sessions ago, but was to look at what's underneath the water, which is our hidden potential, or our unseen potential. What is it we could do to elevate our potential to be above the line, above the water line there? I think some of the things you've introduced with Jack Canfield's teachings speak to that, don't you?
I do. I think one of the major things that lurks below the waterline for many, many people is limiting beliefs. Because if you've got limiting beliefs down below the waterline, then it doesn't matter what sort of goals you set above the waterline, you'll probably sabotage yourself because you've got those limiting beliefs under the waterline. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's very important there are lots of ways we can actually talk to ourselves to boost our self-esteem and to overcome limiting beliefs. And doing that will actually make us far more effective above the line, above the waterline.
When I first was introduced to Brian Tracy's teachings several decades ago, in the program he had called the Phoenix Seminar, and the idea that behind the Phoenix Seminar was to rise from the ashes and reinvent yourself. One of the things there was two things he did for us. One was get us to all stand up and do this hokey sounding thing, but damn it, it works. And that is, I like myself, I love my job, I like myself, I love my job, I like myself, I like myself, I love my job, I love my job, I like myself. It changes your state. So if you're feeling less energy or less energized than you normally would, what have you been saying to yourself? Maybe you're not being as kind to yourself as you have been in the past, or could be in the future. To your point, right? And then the other thing that he did at that same workshop, I had been studying Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, and in there, one of the success laws is about autosuggestion. So autosuggestion is just another way of saying affirmations or declarations. And then the other one that's current is affirmation. It's a question instead of a statement. Like, why am I so successful? Why is it easy for me to drop weight? So that's an affirmation. So they're all similar, slightly different. But in studying Napoleon's book and his teaching, he talked about autosuggestions. And I had this crazy idea. I wonder if you put music together, slow music, no words, nothing I could sing along with, and listen and say the affirmation of the declaration at the same time. Well, at the end of day one at the Phoenix Seminar, Brian had us close up all our books, put our feet flat on the floor, back straight up, and he put on this Baroque music, which I didn't know what Baroque music was back then, but I learned then what it was. It's I think it's 60 beats per cycle, something like that. I'm not a musician, so for you musicians, you could send me a message and tell me if I got that right or wrong. I'm okay with either way, because then I'd learn something. So he had half a dozen statements there, and he said them to us, and it was like, I like myself. I really, really like myself. I like myself. I really, really like myself. So nobody else can declare them for us, but we can take that and repeat it in our own mind, and then we change the programming. So change, what did Brian's book say? Let me go back here. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. I gave them a pre-look. Hang on, one more book. There it is. Change your thinking. Oh, too fast. Change your thinking, change your life. Yeah. So by doing this affirmation with music in the background, it takes you into a state of relaxation. It opens up our minds to allow things to go back in. Yeah. So here I had the thought and the idea, but I never acted upon it. I go to this workshop seminar, and lo and behold, halfway through it, halfway, because it was a 2-day workshop. Yeah, he told me it was okay by giving us that to do. One of the other ones is I'm calm, confident, and relaxed whenever I'm speaking to groups or individuals. So if you're challenged with speaking in front of a group of people, change your thinking, change the way you see yourself. Set a goal and invent a way to get there. That was a bit of a rant.
Yeah, now there's a danger here that I might be sort of straying off the topic a bit, but one of the things, if you're nervous about speaking or nervous about anything, actually, one of the things that works, which is an NLP technique, is to imagine that you're outside of yourself, up in the corner of the room, looking down on yourself and analyzing yourself from outside. So you're watching yourself, if you like. And that's a very good technique for taking a lot of pressure and nervousness out of the situation, because you sort of there's a word for it, but basically you're displacing yourself from yourself to outside to look at yourself. Do you follow what I'm saying there?
Is that something you actually do?
I do. I have done that on occasion. I do that. Yeah.
And then what happened?
Pardon?
And what happened? What was the result?
Oh, you become more effective, because you're actually you're more dispassionate rather than be in the situation and nervous and maybe less effective than you could be. That does help you become calmer and actually makes you more effective. I think it does work, definitely. Worth trying.
I recall a time where I was in front. I think it was about 120 people. It was a new event that I had never done before, and I had an out of body experience. It was like I was watching it in my this was kind of woo woo, guys, but I felt like I was watching myself doing what I was doing, but at the same time I was in the room doing it, but watching myself. Kind of seeing what you did there. Was kind of weird, but it worked. Hey, Randy, welcome to our show. Thanks for popping in. Randy often pops in and checks in to see what I'm doing. He's part of a group that I belong to called Megaminds, which is a mastermind on steroids. I'm going to go to the next slide now. Okay, we had a preview of this because I got excited with the buttons. Anyway, this is another Jack Canfield tool or strategy. Why don't you take the first one?
Okay, now this is, again, I think from the same source, success affirmations. So the idea here is that we should have an attitude of gratitude, abundance rather than shortage. I was at a networking event a while ago, and someone stood up and he said, I go into the kitchen and I turn this tap on and I get water. How incredible is that? And then I put something into the wall and this kettle starts boiling. I mean, how amazing is that? And he started going through all the things in our lives that are absolutely astonishing that we sort of take for granted. I mean, I'm sitting here now looking, it's a nice sunny day out there. There's beautiful trees, hedge, grass. there's so much to be grateful for, and it's really easy to forget all the things in our lives that we can be grateful for, and really easy to sort of focus on the sources of discontent, if you like. So the idea here is we play the gratitude game, which basically says we spend 20 minutes every day working out things we could be grateful for. We can actually play it with other people. You know, I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that, and it just changes your thinking. So you could spend 5 or 10 minutes maybe in the morning just saying, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health. You know, all the things that the danger is you take for granted. And make it a goal to really show someone else how you appreciate them. And if you do that, you'll feel wonderful yourself, because there's nothing makes you feel better than making someone else feel better. Basically, just adopt an appreciation habit. And I think it's a really good way of proceeding, a really good thing to do. And I think I may have lost you, Phil.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, yeah,
I'm playing director.
Okay, right, yeah. So what do you think of that for an idea? So Brian's idea of, I like myself, I love my work, I like myself, I love my work, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. You know, it's all very similar. It puts you into the positive frame of mind, the enjoyment frame of mind, frame of mind that means that you're going to be positive and happy in the way you approach your life rather than the other way. And, you know, makes you better, makes your life better, and makes you more effective.
It reminds me of two things that I do in my coaching when I work with my clients. I don't use this one thing all the time, but I do bring it into play. And that's there's an image where you see a young lady, or maybe you see the old lady. Have you ever seen that? I don't have an example on the slide deck.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that.
Some people can't see they can only see one, they can't see the other. And eventually some of them go around and can see both. But what's fascinating about it is we can't see both at the same time. We can quickly flip back from one to the other, but we cannot see both images clearly at the same time. So why do I bring that up? I bring that up in support of your being grateful. If we focus on the things that we appreciate, and the people that we appreciate, and the people that we are grateful for, and the things that we have that we're grateful for, then we have no room for all of the other stuff that we're not so grateful for, or we don't appreciate. You can't think of both at the same time. That's why I bring it up. And then in each one of my coaching sessions, I start them off with 3 questions. And the whole intention of that 3 questions is, just excuse me for a second, Bernard. Is to make sure that the conversation we're having is focused on what it's positive. Because there could be times where somebody was going to, they want to go down a rabbit hole and explain their story over and over and over. They want to get sympathy. Well, I'm not about sympathy. I'm about empathy. So I help them stay out of that state for the time they're with me. And once they leave, they can go back in that if they want to. And how I do it is really simple, 3 questions. And part of it is what you've already talked about. So the first one is, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And it's amazing how many people are uncomfortable thinking about what they're grateful for, and they try to make it a big thing they have to be grateful for. It could be as simple as the desk I'm sitting in, the ceiling fan I have on, and the technology that I'm able to share across the ocean. And you and I are talking instantaneously, and we're miles and miles apart.
Yeah,
that's one thing. And then the next thing is what it's called. I learned this from another coach, but I've leveraged it and made it my own. And it's, what's your whiffles? WIFLS. What I feel like sharing. So that's got to be something that's positive, that you're proud of. It's an opportunity to brag without being judged. In our Megamind group, we call it, what do we call it? Brag and crush and brag. Randy, I got it wrong. Can you type it in and tell me what it is? But it's an opportunity to share a win and victories. And then the third question is, what are you looking forward to? So it's a date with your spouse, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner. It's a long weekend. It's meeting with a client. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Something you're looking forward to that excites you. So what are you grateful for? What do you feel like sharing? A victory, a win, get to brag. And the third one is, what are you looking forward to? So that all ties into what you got here. Play, spend, make it odd.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Yeah.
And in support of that, we're getting close to the end of our session today. We went a little bit long-winded, but that's okay. I want everybody to remember, and if they've got something that they would like to share now or in the replay, send us a message based on what you heard today in what Bernard and I are talking about. What would you stop doing? What would you continue doing? And what would you start doing? I call this quinking, quink, I-N-G. And it stands for knowing what I now know. What will I stop? What will I continue? And what will I start? So anybody that would like to chime in and send us an email, you can do that. We have our information. You have mine already here. But at the last slide of today, we'll share that with you. Both Bernard and I have access to this terrific piece of technology, software. It's called the Profit Accelerator. And both of us would be happy to help you find an additional $100,000 of hidden potential in your business. And guess what? You don't have to spend a nickel, a penny on, or a pound, or a shilling on marketing or advertising. All you need to do is reach out to us and set up a time for us to help you. The best way to get hold of Bernard is bernard@baltimorebc.co.uk. And you can visit him at his website up here, bernardtv.mentor.com. And I'm below phil@coachphil.ca. So if you liked anything, or you have a question about anything, or you want to challenge us about anything we've said today, by all means, reach out to Bernard and I. We'd be happy to respond and answer your question. And if we don't have the answer, we have access to at least 1,000 other coaches and consultants around the globe that we could get an answer for you. Does that sound reasonable, Bernard? Have I overcommitted?
No, that sounds excellent. Yes, so we can. Well, we both use the same software and process, and it works every time. So
it does, absolutely. So with that, we won't be seeing you next week, Bernard. You're busy doing something else, serving some people and making their lives different. That's the best reason not to be here. Yeah,
but I'll see you in a couple of weeks, Phil.
Absolutely, and thanks for being here again. We always have. Like I talked earlier today on a live stream that I did by myself, and it was all about masterminding. And the two of us, when we get together, create that third mind, and other thought ideas come and support the theme and give people additional info. So thank you for your wisdom and your wit.
And thank you as well, Phil. It's amazing, isn't it, when we start talking, how other ideas come in that are relevant and associated that you hadn't initially done, which is obviously one of the things about a mastermind group, of course.
Absolutely. That's a great segue. Be safe, drink your wine, but don't drive.
No, no, don't need to. Right.
See you later.
See you. Cheers. Bye.